Hi, Tania.
Hiya, Nizam.
How are
Hiya.
you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thank you for
And
inviting me on your show.
it's my pleasure because I want to interview most of the EFT experts and want Indian audience to get more benefited through this interview series.
Mm.
And friends, here is Tanya, a prince. And I know I want to ask why prince? Why not princess?
Well, I inherited the name off my father.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
he
Just,
wasn't a
just.
princess.
But okay, so friends, here is Tanya, a prince. So uh, there's a lot to tell about her, but I'll try to simplify it, friends. And Tanya has a degree in chemistry, and then she comes from a pharmaceutical industry background as a microbiologist. Then from there, she has her knowledge. Oh my God, what did you spare anything, Tanya? NLP from American Board of Neuro Linguistic Programming, ABNLP, then hypnosis, and then friends. Gary Craig has certified only few members, right? It is 28 members or 30 members, Tanya, founding
I,
masters.
yeah, I'm an EFT founding master because
Yes, yes,
uh,
yes.
I think it was
And
about 2004, Gary Craig set up the
oh my
founding
God,
kind of the masters program and
yes,
tested people to see how much knowledge they had about
yes,
EFT. And I was tested and I was accepted as a master at that point in time.
yes.
So I think only about 29 people got accepted at that
29,
point
and
in time from the
Tanya
program.
is one
Mm.
of them, friends, and we are very fortunate to talk to and hear from one of the founding masters. And Tanya is not only founding master, she is not even master trainer, she is the trainer of the trainers in the EFT International. So that's Tanya again for you, friends. So Tanya, my first question, how did you get into EFT? How did this weird thing attracted you?
Anything that really works attracts me. When I
Okay.
came into the field of psychotherapy, it was all about what works and what is very effective and what is fast and the
Okay.
what works, but the results stay with you. So
Okay.
any technique I ever consider, I'm thinking, is that the best technique that's going to get the fastest result in the most powerful way for this person? So that's why I got very attracted to EFT, because it's a great approach, gets some fantastic results, and yeah, it really drew me to it when I saw the
Nice,
results and stuff like that.
nice.
Mhm.
So, Tanya, a lot of people ask me, like, you're trainer of the trainers.
Mhm.
So, the first question is, could you please give a roadmap of how a person can begin as a level one or practitioner to becoming a trainer? Could you please explain the roadmap of this journey from a practitioner to trainer?
Yeah, the journey basically is, I know in EFT we generally, depending on where you train, there's an EFT level 1, an EFT level 2, and level 3.
Hmm.
And EFT level 1 basically is kind of a level that you would do, it's a foundation level.
Hmm.
And if you just wanted to work with family and friends, you could come on that and learn it just for your own self work to help yourself and family and friends. However, EFT level 1 and 2 combined, which is a very intensive training course, and that training course goes through a lot of main techniques in EFT, because there's many different ways of applying EFT, and so it teaches people how to use all these different ways, because when you're working with people can be complex.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you've got to
Which
be
is very
able.
truth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have flexibility when you work with people. So if you're using this approach and you're not getting a result, you need to be able to switch to this approach and then see if
Okay.
you get a result with that. Yeah. So on the EFT level 1 and 2 combined, which is called the EFT practitioner training, you're taught all of those techniques, or at least most of the main techniques in EFT.
Mm.
I would also suggest if anyone is interested in EFT for working on themselves as well, that they would benefit from not just doing the EFT level 1. They'd benefit from doing the full practitioner training, because I think if you want to help family and friends, you want to feel you know as much as you can know to help them, because I've worked with a lot of family and a lot of friends as well. I don't know how anyone can be in a family and not have techniques to help the other
Okay.
members of the family. But
Mm.
yes, so that's a practitioner training. And the thing is, what you learn on a training course is fabulous, but then you have to master it. So
Mm.
then it's about going out there, practicing, working with people, whilst you're still receiving mentoring. Because when you begin to work with people, you discover all new things. It's not always as smooth as it is in the training
Yes.
course.
Yes. Like relationship, like movies different from real life, same way.
Yeah, yeah. There can be all levels of complexity that come in there in
Yes.
a great way, because I do find the human mind and how we function so fascinating. So yeah, so that's EFT practitioners. So once you attend a training course, really it's about mastery and getting a lot of practice in before you then kind of go through an assessment to see whether you are up to the standard of being able to work with people. Beyond that is the advanced training course. And the advanced training course does some really, really interesting techniques on that. So it takes you to another higher level of being able to use EFT. Once you've become qualified as an advanced practitioner, then you need to go out and obviously master it and gain experience, because you can't really, or you shouldn't really be training people in EFT at that point, because being a trainer in EFT is at a whole new level, because you really have got to understand a lot of things there. So, then it's about gaining experience as an advanced practitioner, working with people with all different kinds of problems. After that, then you can put yourself forward to go on a trainer program and be taught how to run training courses. Um, there is an art and skill to that, which I love running training courses, because I do have a show business background as well. And part of my background also is I was trained in America to run training courses.
Oh
So
my God. Okay. So you are basically a person who did not spare anything to become the best in the field. Maybe that's the reason you are where you are now.
yeah, well, I think, if you come into this profession and you want to do these things because you're helping people, you
Mhm.
want to be feeling you're doing the best that you can. I literally, to me, I want to do the best I can, because I want to help people as much as is possible to help them. So, it is about a continual journey of studying and learning more, because, challenges come, and then you've got to get around that to help
Yes.
different people. So it's great fun.
Right.
And I think there's a great purpose in being in this profession. So
Yes.
hopefully that gives you a little bit about the progress from being a
Program.
practitioner
Yes.
to being a trainer in EFT. So it is a
Yes.
journey. It takes time, because mastery does take time. Although just
True.
tapping on points is very easy.
Yes.
Sometimes people think it's incredibly easy, but there is actually a lot to learn.
Lot to.
And
Yes.
you only discover that once you're working with a big pile of
True. True.
people. Hmm.
That's great. And Tanya, though you gave, like, it's a practitioner, like level one, level two, then advanced practitioner, then trainer. Where do I get started? Various certifying bodies, and then where to get started, how. So how to choose a certifying body? I'm not
Well,
asking which is best. I know everyone claims to be best, but how, any parameters to check in certifying body?
well, I think what you're looking at is, yeah, you want to be with a very stable organization
Mhm, mhm.
that has standards.
Okay.
And that's what you're looking at as definite standards. And one that does make you do some form of assessment after your training course, because once you do a training course, your knowledge is not where it needs to be a
Mhm.
professional working with
True,
people.
true.
That knowledge comes after the training course, when you work with people, when you get the real hands-on experience as a kind of student practitioner. And so, you want to feel any kind of organization you go to has got a quite a solid way of assessing that you are going to be of the required standard, because I think you want to feel you're good at what you do. You want to feel that you've been through a training that has made you push yourself a little bit.
Yes. And I feel stretched after being pushed. Okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah. So I think that bear that in mind. And anyone you train with,
Mhm.
what you always want to make sure is that you get on with that person, I think,
Mhm.
because there are people who, that you really connect with. And I think it is very good to connect with your trainer, and that your trainer has a lot of experience, that they've worked with a lot of people, because mastery, as I said, comes with experience, and you want your trainer to have a lot more knowledge than you. You don't,
Yes. True, true, true.
yeah. Mhm.
So
You
thank
know.
you, Tanya.
Mhm.
Got it. But Tanya, you have been telling that once we finish training, and there is again mentoring, and then getting accredited. So, like for each level, the journey about being accredited, practitioner accredited, advanced practitioner. So, could you please explain from the EFT International what is how can someone progress once taking level 1 and 2? After that, what do we need to do?
Well, after a person's attended or been on a practitioner training course,
Mhm.
which the person would have been taken through all the techniques, shown how they done, would have had the opportunity to practice with their colleagues on the training course and ask questions in a type of supervised environment, a safe supervised environment. After that, then they EFT International, that's an accrediting board, an organization that a lot of people around the world are members of. And that particular organization asks that people do 50 practice sessions with
Okay,
people,
50. Hmm.
yeah, that are 45 minutes long, each one being 45 minutes long, and that they work with 20 different people.
People. Okay.
Because you need to have that experience of how different people respond to this technique, because that enables you to become far more of a master using it than if you just work with the same person over
Yes.
and over and over again.
True,
Uh,
true.
so 50 kind of, it's not quite hours, because a 45-minute session, 45 minutes minimum time on the session. So they could be longer, but it's that kind of length of time.
Okay.
Then it's about writing case histories, writing down how you worked.
Mhm.
That there's benefit in writing a case history, writing down how you worked with this person, because what you'll find is when you write it down, it pulls your thoughts into
Okay.
place, and it gets you far more clear in your thinking when you're actually needing to write down, what did I do? Why did I do that? What was going on? And it really gets you much more clear in your mind. So you submit case studies, and then they get marked. And if they're of the standard, you get that back. But if they're not quite hitting the standard, you get feedback on that. How you then can have a step up a level to get to the required standard. So, and that again helps you confidence, because once you're writing a case history, you do want to feel all right that actually passing this means
Yes.
something. Yeah. And then there is a multiple choice test as well that people have to do. Um, which gives them a lot of different questions, including ethical questions about how you should behave as a therapist, because it's important that you behave in the right way as a professional
Yes. Yes.
person. Mhm. There's also mentoring. EFT International like that you are actually having ongoing mentoring with someone such as a trainer like myself, simply because once you attend mentoring, which is what you would do after training in the process, that helps you get the mindset of a therapist, because therapists think in certain ways. And
Yes.
if you're coming from a totally different area, you come into EFT, there's a
Yeah.
little bit of readjusting your thinking to
Yes.
actually think like a therapist.
Yes.
And so I do find that mentoring helps people feel like a therapist and
Yes.
get that connection with it. In mentoring, what I do is I get all lots of my mentorees, the people who have come for mentoring, and we'll discuss cases, and all different people will put ideas in there and say, well, I had a case like that and this is how I worked with it,
Oh,
and this is
awesome.
what worked.
This did not work, this worked. So
Yeah,
different
yeah,
brainstorming
yeah.
happens.
So there's a massive pooling of knowledge. And so once you become part of that pooling of knowledge, or everyone putting their knowledge together, so we don't have to reinvent any wheels, we
Yes.
learn off of our colleagues.
Also, from our mentor, see, our mentor comes a decade or 2 decades of experience, and we need not keep on reinventing wheels. One basic
Yeah,
advice could
yeah,
save
yeah.
years of experience. True.
Yeah, makes a huge, and when you're part of those conversations, I think it builds your confidence as well, because
Yes,
you know,
yes.
some people think, well, I don't know that much, I'm new to this profession,
Mhm.
and then they get in those mentoring sessions and they think, oh, I can say something here, I've had
Mhm.
an experience like that, and they join the conversation and bring their knowledge in, and I boost people's confidence, because it's like stepping up into then becoming the professional therapist. And I think,
Yes,
you know, there's a whole way of thinking to get
yes,
to that place, and mentoring helps you do that. It also gives you the support, because if you're working with people out there in the real world, you don't really want to be isolated by yourself, because
yes.
you could end up taking on board all of those issues that your client has, and that would bring you down.
Sure.
And if you go down with your client, you're not going to be able to help them. And that's why it's very important to have kind of a network around you, a support network around you, to support you and make sure that you're in the best possible place so you can really help people. And so that's very important. So it's the support network, it's the
Okay.
structure of that, keeping therapists in a good place so they
Yes.
can help other people. Mhm.
True. True. So a person undergoes level 1 and 2, does some almost 50 sessions with people,
Yeah.
then takes mentoring program with a mentor, and
Yeah,
then clears an exam to become an accredited practitioner.
yeah, and then
Mm.
doing case studies as well, you know,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
submit
case
case
studies.
studies, yeah, for assessment. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really.
Yes,
But it actually takes time to do that, to actually do
yes.
those 50 cases takes time, and during that time, you're learning a lot. You're
True.
learning an awful lot.
Much more than what we got trained in.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yes,
training will just get you over the kind of, you know, anything new, there's always a little bit of a learning
yes,
curve to it. Yeah.
yes,
Training
yes,
hopefully will give you, just get you up to that learning curve, and then
yes.
it's really mastery comes after. Mhm.
And then comes like mentoring comes into the picture. That's
Mm.
amazing structure. I liked it, Tanya.
Yeah.
And do you suggest after level 1 and 2 and 3 for advanced practitioner, a gap should be maintained so that one practice as well, or how is it? What's your
Well,
experience?
yeah, it depends. Yeah, EFT International like a gap. Um, But I'm a big fan of just ongoing and keeping learning and redoing things myself.
Okay.
You know, some people who come on my training, we come on the training because there
Okay.
is so much to learn. And what they find is they come first time and there's a little bit, oh, I'm new to this.
Okay,
And they
okay.
learn so
Now
much.
I got
Yeah,
refreshing.
yeah,
Come
yeah,
as a refresher and learn. Okay, okay.
yeah. And I think that there's a lot to learn, really, a lot of techniques, a lot of things to learn. And I think it's good to be in a real place of learning and continually doing that, because if you really want to master something,
Yes.
I'd say you go and really get that study in there. You read everything you can find about it. You go
Okay.
and do the
Okay.
live training courses. You go and really master it. You work with people until you feel it's so easy for you to do it. Mhm.
So what I understand is, after we go through, once we get accredited, it is good to attend few refresher
Yeah,
courses so
yeah.
that we make our foundation stronger,
Mm.
and then move to the advanced level.
Yes,
But
yes.
would there be any officially any gap specified by EFT International between level 1 and 2 and 3?
They don't really specify a gap between level 1 and 2,
No,
and
no, no.
you
Between
can do
1
it
and 2 and
consecutive.
3.
Yeah, between the three, they often say about 6 months gap.
6 months. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which again, but it's going to take 6 months gap. I think that's between when you get qualified. Yeah,
Okay.
not at the end of the training course, but when you gain your qualification. Usually, I think
Mhm.
that's what that is.
Okay.
Periodically it changes, and then
Okay. We need to
I
keep
have to
checking. Hey,
reread
Tanya, any
every
updates?
yeah.
We can drop you an email like to know any updates. Okay. And once a person does level 3, again there will be case studies and practice
Yes,
sessions. Oh,
yeah. Similar kind of thing, really, because there's a lot of things that are taught on the level 3. For example, on my level 3, I will teach what you call dissociative techniques. A lot of, because once you're tapping with EFT, you can tap as I feel this. Yeah, I've got this butterfly feeling, nervous feeling in my stomach. And that's very first person. So it's about what you're experiencing right
yes.
now. But once you've got, using EFT, you need to tune into the problem, tap and rebalance our system. Sometimes people go back to a memory and they see a younger self, a younger version of them from a traumatic moment in their life. Well, you can actually tap and do third person languages. So even though younger me, so even though little me, so you're
Me.
tapping for the younger version of you, because
Okay.
what happens is we have experiences in life, like traumatic experiences,
True. True.
and whether they be mini traumas or major traumas, and that moment almost becomes locked inside of us, and it becomes locked inside of us, and then years later it's affecting how we behave and how we feel and our health. And what we do with EFT is we actually tap and tune into those events and tap and rebalance our system, so we
Wow.
come back into the present moment, and those past events are no longer controlling our lives now. Because
And this is
yeah,
just one of the techniques part of level 3.
yes, it's a lot of, some of the techniques are dissociative, so it's not I feel. It can
Okay.
be, so even though little me felt, and you can tap from that way. So it takes you into all different ways of working. There's a
Yes.
lot of different approaches that we teach on that specific training course, including the art of reframing,
Hmm.
um, which I love. Reframing is how you can use words to help a person think totally differently about something
Awesome.
in a way
Amazing.
that helps them. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So again, once after completing level 3, a person completes the case studies, practice sessions, mentoring, and after that, how much gap is ideal for a person to get onto a trainer's level, Tanya?
I think at the moment, and I haven't checked this of late, I think at the moment it's about a year.
Yeah. Okay.
A year. Um, but what you're looking at is, no, it might be 2 years actually. I think
2
last
years.
time I spoke with them, they were thinking about increasing that to 3. So if anyone's at that
3
point, you
years.
should get ahead and do it.
It's not because the reason I'm asking is, I mean, a lot of people have these questions, and I really want everyone to get benefited as your trainer of the trainers. They get, where do we get started, and how is the roadmap from a practitioner to trainer? So
Yeah, yeah.
that's the reason, and it is good to have this gap so that once they practice, they implement each level's learnings as well.
Yeah, and what you're looking at as a trainer, you need substantially more knowledge than your trainees. Yeah,
Yes.
you can't have a situation where they know more than you. Yeah.
Yes.
So, you've really got to get your knowledge up there. And I have a lot of people who train with me to become trainers, and they like apprentices on my
Okay.
training courses. So they assist me on the training courses, and they'll be there as emotional support for any of my students there as well. And they're able to see how we run everything and how all the teaching modules are done. And they gain a lot of experience that way, because one of the easiest ways to learn something like that is to what you call model, to see
Model.
something else do it, and to see what model, how are they doing that, yeah, and how do they put across that idea, how do they set up that exercise, so I have a lot of people who do that with me.
Excellent. And what is the importance of personal mentoring after undergoing training, Tanya, which you have already answered, because you told that training is different from once a person goes and starts applying. That's when a lot of challenges come and how mentoring helps. But could you please elaborate a bit more on the importance of being mentored regularly?
Yeah, yeah. I say, I give it like an example. One of my trainees came to the mentoring session, and she sat there quiet. This is a few years back. She sat quiet for a while, and
Okay.
then finally she got the courage up to say what she needed to say. And
Mhm.
she's literally said, "I feel like a failure." Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I said, "Why? Why would you be feeling that?" She said, "Well, it's taking me longer than a minute to get results with people." I might be exaggerating a bit, because there's a lot of stories out there on the internet
Yes,
saying how
yes.
fast the EFT works. Yeah. And we said, well, people just write these success stories. They're not always writing the ones that were more challenging to them. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and she said, and now coming here, I realize that, people it's not everyone is getting just taking a minute to get a result here. So I feel better now. But it's like
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. You can there be in your own little bubble, not realizing what's going out there in the world. You get a
Yes.
very distorted view. She needed to be there to see what real life is like, what the
Yes.
real challenges are like for people in our profession, that we do have to maneuver and be quite flexible in how we work with the people. It's that kind of thing. And sometimes people will come to mentoring and they say, well, I've been working with this client, we're not making that much progress, I feel stuck.
Yes.
And then we'll go through, all right, what have you done so far? All right, what's happening? And we'll give them lots of ideas of how to move forward from
Hmm.
that. And also sometimes people will say when they come to mentoring, well, I feel, I feel like a child when I'm working with this person. And then we'll just point out, you're being triggered, because sometimes we're not always that aware when we are being affected, and it's kind of
Yes.
triggering off the stuff that we've experienced in life. And sometimes it takes someone external to yourself to point that out to you. And that's, I probably did quite an extreme example there. I feel like a child, but people will say subtle
Yeah,
things.
they also get triggered. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't always
Humans.
realize when we're being triggered. And then when we're triggered, we're not resourceful, not as resourceful as we can be if we're not triggered. But there's nothing wrong with being triggered, but you got
Mhm.
to recognize it, and then you got to work on it and do some
Yes.
self therapy on yourself to overcome it.
Okay. And Tanya, pandemic has affected all the fields, including training sector.
Mhm.
And you have also started training people, uh, online. But
Yeah.
still, is there difference in online training and face-to-face training?
Well, I absolutely love face-to-face training.
Okay.
At my at my face-to-face trainings, we have a lot of laughs. It's a lot of fun, and we spend a lot of the time laughing and doing serious work, but having a real nice time with that. And so I love that. I love meeting people. But however, I ran a EFT level 3 with my Norwegian students a few weeks back. And that was 3 days online. And it was just really easy to do, absolutely easy to do. And we just methodically went through stuff, and it was great fun. So, there's definitely lovely things you can do online, and you can go in depth with that. And the benefit of, say, that particular training is it was recorded,
Okay.
so they can go through it afterwards
Yeah.
and re-listen to it. So there are certain benefits with online things as well. And I especially think right now, with all maybe the bad that's happened, is the good that's also happened, in that I think people are
Yes.
reaching out more to each other around the world and connecting and realizing, like here we're speaking, you're in Italy,
Yes.
I'm here. And, which is absolutely lovely, actually. I was
Yes.
like all
Yes.
excited about that. How brilliant is
Yes.
that? Yeah, I think people are reaching out, and the world is almost even getting smaller and smaller and smaller,
True.
because
True.
I think we're using the technology, we're reaching out to people, we're having those conversations. So with that, I think a lot of good things, I think, will come of this in that way, that we are able to teach things that will be of great benefit to people. And I think after this pandemic, there will be a lot of need for the skills, for
Online.
this knowledge, because I think a lot of people right now are, they've experienced some quite extreme things, and really it's about them coming out of that, being able to come out of that in a healthier way. So there'll be a lot of trauma that needs to be dealt with, I think, after this.
Yes. Yes. And mindfulness based inner repatterning.
Yes,
It
yes.
took a while for me to repeat that.
I
So
know, I know.
MBIR, can I
Yeah,
call it MBIR?
you
Okay.
can call it
Okay. Okay.
MBIR.
So what is it all about? I'm curious to know what is it, Tania?
Well, MBIR is a simple technique I developed that, I have a lot of people who come to me, and some of their problems are very, 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 very complex. So that when they come in, you think, oh, where do I start with this particular problem? So I kind of developed that technique for initially for very complex problems. So you don't have to break it down into little pieces, and that it would work with the whole thing at one and the same time. And you could consider it as a technique that's a mindfulness based technique. So you're very present, mindful, but it's also a tapping technique. So it kind of blends energy psychology with mindfulness. And what mindfulness based inner repatterning does, MBIR does, is it literally just takes the blocks out of the way to
Okay.
enable the body to heal itself,
Oh.
you know. And that's what you're looking at. The body has amazing abilities to heal things. For
Hmm.
example, if we cut a hand, you cut your hand, all you have to do is just clean it, make sure there's no dirt in there, and your body will heal that, you know.
Yes.
You don't have to be there looking at your hand saying, heal, heal.
Here. Yes.
Your body knows how to do it. And
Yeah.
from a scientific point of view, it's pretty amazing what the body does here
Yes.
to heal your hand. And yet the body does it without any level of effort. It just does it seamlessly. So my preference, I really love it when you just take out the blocks, whatever's stopping your body healing itself, and allow the body to do what it knows how to do. And why should emotional things be that different from physical injuries? Why should they be? Because the body is continually refreshing and rebooting itself, and say right now, you don't have the same body today as you did maybe a year ago. as you did 2 years ago. The body is continually rebuilding and regenerating itself. So MBIR takes out and puts us in a state of natural healing. For example, if you're in the fight or flight stress response, your body won't heal itself very well because it thinks it needs to survive some danger you're in. So one of the things we do with the MBIR is take you out of the fight or flight stress response and switch you over very naturally to the repair and regeneration phase that our bodies can naturally go into. And to get a person in that, we just take them through some very simple steps that are in alignment with how we function, how our bodies function. And some of the knowledge in MBIR is ancient knowledge. It's very ancient knowledge, but I think sometimes we've kind of lost a little bit of our ancient knowledge. But that ancient knowledge is fabulous, especially, you know, I put it into a little structure to make it easy for people to do it. But that's basically what MBIR is. And, you know, if I put it into perspective, because it's a simple technique, and like I say, we do tapping in it, because tapping is very, very powerful for rebalancing our systems. But it's a simple technique, but it's been used on some very interesting things. Like, I know it's used with sexual abuse, that kind of issue, abusive issues. It's used with anger problems. People I've used it right across the board with bereavement, grief, loss. In fact, one of the most powerful cases I remember is when I was working with a lady who 20 years before she came to see me had lost a child.
Oh, okay.
And for 20 years, she didn't want to go anywhere near that because she just buried the pain inside of herself. And when she realized she wouldn't have to talk about it, she didn't want to talk about the trauma. She didn't want to go back into that. All she wanted to do was come to a better place of peace about that. And we used the technique. And in that session, and she gave me permission to share this, by the way, in that session, there was no tears of sadness, but there were tears of joy. I remember both of it. I feel that when I think about this. It's a very beautiful session with these tears of joy, because she came to that place of peace about what had happened to her child. And she felt this very wonderful energy. And you could feel it in the room as we shifted all the trauma without needing to go into it, without needing to talk about it, but just putting the body into what you call like a reboot. It's like on a computer when you press reboot. Yeah, and the body reboots itself in a very lovely way. After the session, and you're talking, that was one session actually. After that session, she went on a little journey up the mountains just outside of Manchester in England, and she built a little shrine, a little monument for her child. And she took this picture of herself with this little monument and sent it to me to show me that she was, yeah, absolutely cherishing the life that was, rather than having uncomfortable and needing to bury it inside, but cherishing the life that was in a very beautiful way. So, you know, that was a lovely, gentle session. So, you know, it is a technique that can be used with big things or very simple things as well. You know, I think one of the stories I will say is one of my trainees, she was writing a case histories for this, and she said one of her friends said to her, well, I can't grow my nails. Yeah. She said, when I put nail varnish on them, it comes off. So she said, well, let's use this technique with it, see what happens.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she did not expect the result. She didn't expect the result. Yeah. And she used the technique with her. And I think she then didn't think anything of it as the therapist. You know, they had a nice time doing the technique. Didn't take long. She said a few days later, the friend came back and said, what did you do? My nails are growing.
Oh my God.
And I remember that, you know, the nail varnish is staying on. I remember that because I thought that's the most strange case I've ever heard.
Girls, whoever is watching this, please
Yeah,
MBIR, please think about, especially I think girls would now get interested more about MBIR. Like, what is this?
yeah. Because you see, typically people with that issue don't typically always seek out a therapist for that. So
Yes.
that's why when she told me about this case, I thought, well, that is unusual because I'm far more used to the things like a grief and loss and trauma. That's what people will
Yes.
bring, and these serious illnesses and stuff like that. I'm far more used to that. And that one was a little bit unusual for me. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's a very, very simple technique that
Mhm.
just takes the blocks away from letting our body deal with things itself. Mhm.
Okay. So again, are there any levels into it? Tanya?
Um, yeah, I mean, we teach the practitioner level,
Okay.
and it is simple. It's not that complex, but we teach that, and then obviously people have to go through an assessment program after having done that,
Okay.
and you know, I teach trainers as well, but there's people who are using this in a lot of different areas. People have
Okay.
taken this into schools and found that a lot of people like it. People use it in, another one of my trainees, she does a lot with business people with this technique. And
Oh,
she said
wow.
they particularly like it because they don't have to be talking about their problems. And business people don't always want to talk about their problems.
Yes. And also, like, sometimes their decision might have backfired, investment losses and all that stuff. Without having to talk much and getting healed is awesome.
Yeah. Well, if you run a business, you've kind of got to stay in a balanced place so that
True.
whatever challenges come your way, you're able to deal with them. And because you can't allow yourself to go down with those challenges, you got to kind of keep yourself on top form. So, I think MBIR is a very good type of technique for rebalancing you,
Wow.
which you would need to do if you're in kind of ongoing stress situation when stuff's
Yes.
coming at you.
Oh, with self also you are saying. With self and also with others.
Yes, you can do self-help with it as well. I know some
Okay.
people do self-help, and people have used it for things like sleeping issues when they
Oh my
wake up in the
God.
middle of the night and stuff like that.
Okay.
People have used it for a lot of different things.
Nice. And Tanya, like, obviously once people start working with clients, like you said, yes, different people, complex issues. It's not like how one technique works with someone and how other person, we cannot say that, okay, the problem might be similar, but the persons are two different personalities altogether. So EFT practitioners, if they add MBIR to their toolkit, do you, do you suggest that they can work more effectively with their clients by adding MBIR into their toolkits or skill
Yeah,
set?
I would definitely say that because when I was trained in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, they always say the person who is the most flexible is the one who's going to win in any situation. And by win, if you take that to a therapy situation, it is the person who's going to get the result with the client is the
Yes.
one who's more flexible. And if you've got more skills, more tools to use, then if one way isn't getting the result that you want to get with that
True, true.
client, you may need to shift your approach, use something slightly different. So therefore, it's good to have extra skills. And what I would also say is, if you've been working on a lot of things in an EFT session, sometimes at the end of the session, a person can be a little bit what you call scrambled. They haven't come
Mhm.
quite to a place of balance. They're still processing things. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the MBIR can be put into that situation to bring them into balance, to bring them into coherence, into oneness in a way, so that when they step out of your clinic, they're in a much more balanced place. So you can use it in that way as well. So there's so many very beautiful things. You can combine the two techniques, work use them together in the session or use them by themselves in a session. It's whatever you think is going to get the best result, really.
Wow. So, thank you very much, Tanya. You have answered all these questions very
Mhm.
patiently, and these are not just personal questions. Different people had this. Where do I get started? What is the roadmap? What is the additional skills? How important is mentoring? Everything
Mm.
you have beautifully explained, and I really enjoyed when you said that about how body has its own healing system,
Yes.
and how mbir can help people, especially that nail thing. I think I would never never forget.
Yes.
Something still surprises me. That's so
Mm.
simple.
Mm.
And thank you very much. And friends, I hope you also got lot benefited directly, hearing from EFT founding masters. Thank you very much, Tanya. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for inviting me on your show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Thank you.